Check out this streetwear brand called Clout. They have all the latest fashion, from jeans, hoodies, tees, even shoes. Go check out their website. That's kclot.com and use my promo code BrandanJordanComedy to receive your discount. Go check them out right now.
What up, doe? Welcome to a new episode of Don't Blame Me, Blame Detroit with your boy Brandon Jordan. And I got a special guest with me today. One of these guys, I've been seeing his videos online. And so I said, I got to have the opportunity to sit down and talk to him and get to know him myself, especially because he interviewed one of my favorite people, Keisha E.
Oh, wow.
One of the homies right there, and I said, I got to sit down and put him on the other side of the chair today. I want to welcome to the podcast, man, David Tinsley, man. How you doing, bro?
Man, thank you. I was that was the question that I was going to ask you in terms of how was the connection made. But yeah, Keisha E is out. She a fool, man. She crazy, man. So but I love her, man. So no, I'm doing great, man. And I'm it's a little weird being on this other side, because I've been so used to asking the questions. So but I'm looking forward to getting into it, man. I checked out a lot of your stuff too, so I'm a fan.
Yeah, and what's so crazy is, like, in this podcast space, I'm still new at this. Like, each year that I didn't start it, I didn't change the format of how I've been doing it each year, almost trying to figure out the niche and find what fits, and trying to figure out what's grabbing the people's attention. And this year I feel I'm getting into a groove this year where I'm really finding my space and exactly what I want to do, because I don't like the traditional just sit down and just ask a question and then just let the person just talk. I want to get into a real conversation, about different things. And that's why I never really, like, people be hitting me up that I have guests that, like, so what we going to talk about? I don't know.
Wow. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I don't know. I want to just sit there and we just go wherever the conversation goes.
You don't want it to feel too contrived or formulaic, I guess, right?
Right. You know what I'm saying? This is not NBC News. You know what I mean? This is, I really just want to just talk. And and wherever it goes, and then what I do is that I have things that I have written down just in case the conversation doesn't flow. I can be like, okay, well, let's let's talk about this. You know what I mean? And let's get it in.
You got that fallback plan just in case, yeah.
Right. But so tell me about we gotta start off, man. Just tell me about yourself, though. Like, how did you get into where the space that you in, and where you from and all that stuff?
Man, I'm from the east side of Detroit, all over the east side, man. So Promenade, Dickerson, Warren, Copland, 7 Mile, and Manning. I'm all over the east side pretty much. Okay. I grew up on the east side. My mother raised me. Sister kind of co-raised me because I have an older sister who's 5 years older than me. It was just us in the house. I ended up going to Cass Tech, graduated from there in 2002, went to University of Michigan up in Ann Arbor, graduated from there in 2006, got my degree in interdisciplinary engineering, and I minored in African-American theater. So I always kind of had a love and a fascination for the arts. And then with the engineering thing, I was good at math. So I just, my mother kind of planted that seed in me early, and thank God she did, because it allowed me to be able to take care of myself once I ended up going to LA to pursue acting. Okay. So that's kind of the story in a nutshell. I graduated from the University of Michigan. I lived in India, the country India, for 6 months because I had to train for this software engineer position. That landed me in Arizona for a year. And then from there, I went to LA, and I lived in LA from 2009 all the way up to 2018 before moving back here to Detroit, Michigan, my hometown. So
okay. So we already got some things, similar about our backgrounds. From the east side of Detroit.
Nice. Okay.
7 Mile and Ryan.
Oh, okay, yeah. That's what's up. That's over there by
First.
off of Davidson.
Yep.
It was like a prison over there off of Mound.
Yep.
Okay.
And I was always told that's where I was gonna end up.
Damn.
That's where I always was told. They said, growing up, people, especially like teachers and stuff, man, like my mother didn't want me to go after I graduated from elementary. I didn't go to any more Detroit public schools. Wow. My mother was like, I don't want you in that, I don't want you in that space, which I'm at that time I was mad because, I want to go to school with all the neighborhood kids.
Yeah.
But now as I look back, I appreciate it because if I would have continued down that path, I probably wouldn't have graduated high school. To be honest. And, and teachers, growing up, we had predominantly white teachers and they would tell us like, I'll never forget this. In 7th grade was told, you probably gonna end up in prison. Wow. And I was like, okay, wow, because I got into this little bit of trouble. Yeah, like the typical school trouble, they're like, if you don't get your act together, you're gonna end up in prison, And so, like I said, I grew up on the east side. I didn't travel, I didn't move quite a bit. I done lived in Atlanta. I lived a little bit in New York for a little bit. I lived in Memphis, Texas, and now I'm here in LA.
So what out of all those places, where did you like living the most?
LA.
I got you.
I've been in, besides Detroit, because I grew up in Detroit. I didn't leave Detroit until I was 27.
Oh, wow.
When I first left and moved to a different city when I was 27. So, but out of all them cities, I didn't live in LA the longest.
Damn, nice.
Which is crazy because LA is probably one of the least places I like.
So it's like gift in the yeah.
Because it's different talking to you because you have the experience to know some of the things that I'm talking about when I talk about LA.
Yeah, LA
is good for what it is. I tell people, all the people hit me up all the time, like, man, I want to move to LA. And I tell them, I say, okay, let's be realistic about the situation. If you're not in entertainment, if you're not moving here for a high quality job, or you're not from here with family here, is no reason to move to LA.
Facts.
It's the only 3 reasons that I will understand that you moved to. Oh, and the 4th one is that you're just rich. That's it. There are the top only 4 reasons that I can respect someone moving to LA. Because outside of that, is no reason to move here. If you're making an average quality of life income, you're setting yourself up to live almost a poor lifestyle moving to LA.
Yeah.
LA is not just a place where you just up live. It's I got so many things about this city, but it's like
I know what you mean.
Cause I love the number one thing I hate about here is that I don't like the way of life. Meaning I don't have an issue paying $2,000 worth of rent. I don't have an issue paying that. But what I have an issue is that if I'm paying $2,000, give me $2,000 at least close to worth it. Worth it. I shouldn't be living in a 600 square foot studio for $2,000.
Damn. Yeah.
When I was in Texas, and I understand that the economies are different. But if I'm in Texas, no reason I should be paying $1,000 for 1,200 square feet. That's just too much of a difference.
Yeah. So you saying 1,200, you paying 1,000, and then cut that in half, 1,200, and now you're paying 2,000.
Right.
Yeah.
It should be some form of a balance. Yeah. That's what I mean. And that's the type of things that I don't care for. It's just the way of life here, man.
Yeah.
What eventually made you move?
Everything that you basically are saying. I mean, my wife moved out to LA in 2011, right? So 2 years after I got there, we were long distance for 4.5 years because after I graduated from Michigan, she had to do another 4.5 and like another 4 years. She had another half year of undergrad left, and then she had to do 4 more years on top of that, a grad school. So when she graduated, her residency was at UCLA. So she moved out to LA, and we loved it, man, when we didn't have kids.
Right.
You know? And then as soon as we had our first kid, we both looked at each other one day and was like, nah, we can't raise no kid here. And not only that, we're not getting the most for our buck if we're thinking about trying to save and, you know, trust funds and sort all that type of stuff. You know, LA is not necessarily a place, like you said, conducive to somebody even making low 6 figures and being able to really live a comfortable life and put up something for the future. So, and we wanted to be around our parents, because every time we would come home to visit, we see our parents, our mother, our dads, you know, they aging gracefully, and we missing so much of it. And I didn't have close relationships with my grandparents as a child, because my grandmother's mom's side passed away when my mom was like 16, 17. So I had never met her. And her father lived in Georgia, right? So he would come home to, still wasn't really close with him like that. And he passed away when I was probably around 8 or 9 or something like that. And then my dad, he was adopted, you know, at birth, never knew his real parents and was abused by adopted parent and all. So I don't even know that side. And that's the reason why we came home, because I always wanted to make sure that if I had kids, they would have a close relationship with their grandparents, because I just think that's something that I did miss. And I would be somewhat jealous of other kids who could go to their parents' house for a weekend, because grandparents are just gonna, like, their whole job is to redeem themselves, I guess, from all the bad shit they did as parents. Yeah. So as like a way of redeeming themselves, and that's the reason why they just love on them, and you know, they're not punishing them, and obviously, or not punishing them as much as their parents. And then obviously there's so much wisdom you can get from grandparents, you know. Right. So that our kids had that opportunity, man, and that's why we moved back.
Okay. Now I tell you this is like, because I actually about to get ready to come visit Detroit soon.
Nice.
Because my grandmother is turning 90. And
wow.
They're doing a big party for her and everything. And this is one thing about being in the business that a lot of people that don't understand, is not in it, you know, about being in entertainment. It's the sacrifices you have to make when it comes to your family, friends, relationships in this business. You know, my family don't understand some of the decisions I have to make when it comes to, you know, my everyday life, moving like for example, this trip that I'm making to Detroit, financially, I really shouldn't be doing it. I shouldn't be doing it at all. But I do want to see my grandmother. But on the other hand, if I didn't come, so much pain my mother is going to have for me not coming.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to tear me up. So because right now I'm putting all my money into a web series that I'm creating. Nice. Every dime that I can put towards it is going towards it. Plus my everyday life. So especially with these flights, I don't know what it is about Detroit. I don't know what it is about Detroit, but I can fly to Hawaii for half the cost that it cost me to fly to Detroit right now. I don't do shit. But with the prices being so crazy, I was trying my hardest not to dip into that fund, finance this trip.
Yeah, but,
you know what I'm saying? But I'm coming because I want to be there and my family want me there.
Yeah.
So I'm coming. But it's just saying, like, these sacrifices that you got to make in this business just to try to get ahead and do things, man, people think like it's just like you just being selfish and not being considerate to others, but sometimes you got to make these tough decisions.
No, I mean, liken it to somebody who's like, and it's not the same as being in the service, obviously, but people service may not call back home often because they out there, their mind is out there, and they don't want this to be a weakness, right? They're out there to survive. So that's what happens a lot of times when people go to LA. It's like, I'm out here to work, and this ain't nothing thrilled about necessarily. I don't like the fact that I can't go and visit my mom or my grandmom or whatever the case may be, but I believe in this dream, and I'm suffering, and I understand the sacrifice required in doing that, and I accept it. you know, and it comes with it. But you try to find that balance of saying, okay, well, yeah, you know, I might have missed 3 opportunities to go back home this year. Okay, this opportunity with my grandma turning 90, maybe I should sacrifice on that. And it's hard. It's finding that trivial at all, you know, but I understand exactly where you're coming from, man. There were times where my mother would, like, it hurt her a lot. And I didn't realize this till I moved back. We had a conversation where she cried because she was like, I don't understand why you wasn't coming home on Christmas. She was like, you're torturing yourself, just sitting there surrounded by 4 walls. You know what I'm saying? My family. And, you know, it was hard for me because every time I would come back home, it was a reminder of what I hadn't accomplished in LA. So I just back there to make sure that all of this stuff that I was doing and not being able to be there with my family wasn't in vain. So it's a tough road, man.
Yeah, like, this is right here. So when I made the decision to go to leave to go to LA, all of a sudden I had like 3 people hit me up. Was like, hey man, you available this day? You available this day? Like, man, I've been trying to do this for a couple months now. Now the day that I'm flying out, all of a sudden you hitting me up talking about, are you available? Actually, one dude didn't even ask me if I was available. He literally just DM'd me the flyer with my face on it.
Oh shit.
And I look at it, I'm like, we haven't had no conversation about no date or anything. He just inboxed me and said, and basically was like, you on the show? I'm like, I'm not available. And he like, all right, man, you know, like, what kind of shit is that?
Yeah, that's crazy, man. That's crazy. But no, I get exactly where you're coming from with all that, man. And I sacrificed, you know, many years, and I don't regret it. I'm glad I got a chance to experience it. And it kind of gave me an opportunity to find out what it is I really wanted, you know, because when I didn't know if I really wanted what was out there, you know, but unless you go pursue it, and then you just hope that you'll end up where you're supposed to be at some point, right? So man, we love being out there. We love being able to go to Big Bear, you know, experience some snow, and then the next weekend go to the beach in Santa Monica. Right. Beautiful thing, man. Hike somewhere. It was I think the culture, some of the good things that we picked up from the culture, because there's a lot of negative or bad things, but
it's a lot of good things too.
Yeah, you know, the whole healthy lifestyle. Like and my mom be like, when the last time you ate? I'm like, man, this shit. You know, so that's something that we were able to bring back here. And also parents would come visit, they would experience it too. Like all of the vegan stuff and this, that, and the third. So it was some brought back, man.
No, it's funny because I remember the first time I came to visit LA before I moved, we went to Jack in the Box, right? I went to Jack in the Box. Me and my homeboy, it was late. We was leaving the comedy show, went to Jack in the Box on Sunset. And walked in, and I went to go get what I thought was sweet tea. So, so I poured it, and I started drinking. I said, this shit tastes bland as hell. Like, it's just like, I'm just drinking like water or something. And I'm like, hey, y'all something wrong with y'all, no sugar or something here, whatever. They're like, no, that's unsweetened tea. I said, who serves unsweetened tea?
A fast food place at that, right?
And they was like, and it was like, no, that's an LA thing. Like, is, you know, more on the healthier. I was like,
wow,
I never heard no shit like that. I said, I'm used to all the diabetes. You know what I'm saying? Like, no, man. But you know what you're saying is crazy because I have a lot of friends that are vegans, and I have tried some vegan stuff. I'm not the biggest fan of it, but actually living out here has opened my eyes up to a lot more alternative things that are more healthier options versus what I grew up on. Now I'm not totally changed, but I have changed some things.
And you're conscious of it too now.
And more conscious of knowing. Like, I never went to the grocery store in my life and read the ingredients before I moved to LA.
Yeah.
I'm looking like, they got what in here? Oh no, I've got to put this back. Versus, you know, but the thing about it is that here in LA, you have more options when it comes to shopping, especially depending on where you live. You live more like where I live at in the Valley. You have more options when it comes to shopping in grocery stores versus like in Detroit. You don't have that many options. You know what I'm saying? In the grocery store, you have your Kroger's. If you live close to a Walmart or a Meijer, and then that's it.
Well, unless you like somewhere on the outskirts of Detroit, you know. Yeah, Grosse Pointe or something. You might.
You get a little bit.
Yeah.
But it's the accessibility and that's, and then also like you said, the knowledge is more knowledgeable out here versus a lot of more other cities.
Yeah, because you're surrounded by it. I mean, that's the whole purpose of an artist wanting to go to LA, like, because you're around a bunch of people who good at what they do. And if you want to be you want to be around the best. And people don't understand that. It's not the same. Like, people think that, oh, well, I could do the same thing in Detroit. Yeah, maybe, but it's only you'll get so good at what you do if you're not around people who are really fucking good at what they do. Excuse my language.
No, you can cuss out. You can say wherever you want.
Cool. But yeah, so I agree with you, man. It's like being around people who are more health conscious. Even if I'm not following what they're doing to a T, it's better than being around people who ain't even thinking about it at all.
Mm-hmm. Now I had Amanda Seales on here.
I saw that. I said, oh, this dude right here doing it big. Not the biggest fan of her views, politically speaking, but I respect her success and I respect her hustle. So I thought that was a dope interview.
So one of the things me and her talked about, and I told her, I said, a lot of times, you know what I'm saying, like what you just said about respecting her views, is like a lot of times I said, you speaking the truth on a lot of things. But the problem is the delivery.
You said that? Yeah, you did.
And I told her, I said, it's the delivery. I said, it's the delivery sometimes is what throws a lot of people off. It's like, you come hard, you know what I'm saying? And I love it, you know what I'm saying? But so a lot of other people, you know, they try to, anything that they can be able to say, I don't like this person, they're going to run with. And that's the one thing that people run with is they simply just disagree with you just because of how you deliver it.
Well, that's the shit. And sometimes you can hate somebody so much that you end up becoming that person, right? And I'm not saying this about Amanda Seales, but like a lot of people in my family who hated Trump, right? Like, damn, you sound just like him. You just on the other end of the spectrum. And I think Trump, you know, yeah, he was a flawed and is a flawed person, but there was a lot of truth to what he was doing too. But people couldn't hear him because, like you said,
the delivery of how what he was doing. And I'll tell you this, bringing up Trump, I don't like having a conversation with people because people don't take the time to just think, they just like to react. Whew. If you actually read and research, you know, some of the things that Trump did in his presidency for Black people.
Yes.
He did more things than any president that ever set that office.
Including Obama, yes.
Oh, especially including Obama.
Right, and that's
including Obama. And I don't have the list in front of me, but just a couple things that I remember off the top of my head was, it hasn't went nationally yet, but a couple cities have been very impacted and affected by it. One of the things that he did is that he signed them to where they opened up in a couple cities where in the Black community, they opened up little kind of like recreation centers where people can go in and get educational training for free.
Yeah.
And also little different other activities for the communities. Now, like I said, it's not nationally, but it affected some Black communities in the US. And he signed a couple other different things. I don't have to
brag about a lot of it either. You know what I'm saying?
He didn't brag about none of it. Yeah, he bragged about all the other shit.
Yeah.
But when you try to sit there and talk to someone about it, all they know about is what is put in front of them. What is put in front of them on TV. So they're not taking the time out to actually look and think about what he actually did. They just care about the stuff that was put in front of them, and which is right. You know what I'm saying? You're supposed to put that in effect too, but also just understand that the people that's going to create change for us are not going to be the people that look like us or the ones that seem like they're going to ride for us. It's the ones that's going to that speak out against us are the ones that have the power for us to change.
Yeah,
for things to change.
There's another thing about that too. They're not pandering to you either. And I think if a president or a politician in general doesn't pander to you, then that in itself is a sign of respect. Because sometimes people look down on you so much that they don't even feel you're worthy of being insulted or told the truth, or they don't feel you capable of being responsible for your own mistakes and your own actions. It has to be somebody else's fault. So I think,
yeah, exactly.
So I think to a degree, Trump might have had more respect for us than even an Obama or a Biden. You know what I'm saying? Who just told us what we wanted to hear to get a vote. There's a certain level of integrity that comes with going about things in a way that you feel is truthful, right? It might be truth what Trump was doing, but he felt it was truthful and he stood on his convictions, and I can respect that. The other thing, too, is that the reason why people couldn't hear Trump out is because they couldn't separate their identity from the topic. And most people define themselves.
That's a good point.
Black can't see anything outside of that. And they can't even view themselves as an individual. Like, you're more than your race. You're more than your color. You know what I'm saying? And that's why a lot of people couldn't hear him, because the media painted him out to be a racist. We already know propaganda, right? So it's like, all right, if he's a racist, then that means, he don't like black people. And since I'm a black person, and I'm so fixated on blackness, that's so attached to my identity, I can't be objective about Trump at all.
Yep. And the fact that he was a Republican. Like, yeah. I never understood this, we gotta vote Democrat. We gotta vote Democrat. Like, I'm a history buff. Like, I love history. Like, that was my favorite subject and still is today. And I hate when I hear, especially when I hear people, especially younger people, they say, when I talk about different things that happened in the past, they show no type of interest in it. And I be like, man, you don't understand that. Understanding things in the past will give you a clearer picture in the future.
Yeah.
What people don't realize is that Black people in the beginning of all this democracy and government and stuff were Republicans.
Yes.
The Republican Party was Black people. It made a turn. I forgot later. I think it was like going towards like the 40s, 50s. Is when it made its turn to where Black people became more on the Democrat side.
Or liberal, yeah.
Yeah. And so, and I be telling people, at the end of the day, and just like Amanda even said, both parties don't give a damn about us. But if we're going to make some form of change when it comes to the vote, people have to understand that the presidency, and that they hype that up so much. They hype the presidency so much because they want to distract you from the people that you're really supposed to be voting for.
So they forget about the local and the state level and all of that, right?
The senators, the representatives, all them people are making all the decisions that you have an issue with. The president makes one couple little issues, in his presidency. Most of them get turned down.
Yeah.
Most of them get turned down, and and the rest, and everybody. And so now you look at the president like, oh, you ain't doing shit, do shit. Well, he can't do shit anyway.
He's just the face of the country, right?
That's it. He's the representative to, to represent our country. But the people in the offices are the ones that's making decisions on our lives. And
in the face of the country is it's a very important task.
Yes, very important.
But I agree with what you're saying in terms of where the decision is made. I agree.
Yeah, and that's why, like Detroit, one of the main reasons why the city has been through its ups and downs like it has as a whole is because people are still voting in the same people that put us in the city in the position that it's been. Just because you're going off a name.
Yeah.
You're not going off of, let me see what this person been doing in their terms. You're just going off of, okay, well, I know the Kilpatrick name. I'm just going to keep going them in. And so that's what happened. That's what's happening with our city. I was there when the city was I still living when the the big news about the city being broke.
Wow.
You remember that?
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah.
I heard it in, but I remember. Yeah.
And I wasn't shocked by that. I wasn't shocked by that. And then the school system was going broke.
Mm-hmm.
None of this was a surprise because the same people that made the city broke is now the same people you're trying to empower to get the city out of it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a vicious cycle. Makes sense, man. Yeah.
Yeah, that don't make any sense, man.
No, but I agree with you. I thought the way you handled the interview with Amanda Seales, because that could have went left, quick, but you handled it really well because you asserted yourself. You pushed back, did it respectfully, because certain people, man, they don't want to necessarily hear a side that differs from their own. And that's the thing that I don't like about society is that, like I could vote Republican, one election, and you could vote Democrat, and we can still have a conversation. We're both human beings. We both still kids. We have a job where we want to take care of our families and we want to see our families do well. None of us are impervious to losing a loved one to death. So we have so many things that bind us, but it seems like as of lately, politics has been extremely polarizing and it's been doing a lot more separating than uniting. So I just like it when somebody is able to hear the other side and be objective about it, as opposed to kind of stay in their own echo chamber. And it's like, no, what I think is right and what you think is wrong unequivocally. And it's like, no, every conversation I go into, because my father-in-law, he's, Democrat.
Right.
I voted last time around, right? And, it doesn't mean I'm a registered Republican. I can go either way. So, but we have our conversations, and at the end of it, we still love each other. We still hear each other out. And there's this sense that we both have an understanding that we could be wrong in a conversation. Like, never get to the point to where you go into a conversation not assuming that you could be wrong or assuming that the other person can be right. Because now you're going into it to really try to understand. And the conversation becomes less about who's right versus who's wrong, and it becomes more about the mutual elevation and the progression of discourse, right? It's like we're both trying to get the most out of this and trying to gain a better understanding versus trying to pull each other over to the other side or castigate the other person when they don't think how you think. So that's kind of how I operate, and I like those types of conversations. But again, the one you had, man, you navigated that thing like a pro, man. So props on that. Yeah. I don't know if I would have been able to do it, so I great job.
Yeah, man. Shout out to Amanda, man. I have so much love and respect for her, man. That's one of the homies, man.
Yeah.
And then
but you had to be careful. Like I had somebody I was interviewing, and our political views are way different. And she got in on the podcast, and I was like, I don't want, because you don't want to push back to the point to where you sabotage the interview. So being a podcaster and an interviewer, it oftentimes means like, you got to put your ego down. And that's what that's what I respect you for. I thought that was dope.
Like, one of the things also too, like that you experienced that I've kind of, you experienced on a higher level than me, but as in traveling. As in traveling, like, I didn't move, like I said, I didn't move to a lot of places in the US. I didn't live in different cities. I didn't visit a lot of cities, performing and stuff. I haven't had the high range of visiting outside the country yet. Only foreign country I've been to Canada, Toronto. But I'm ready to start going to other countries. Like I can't wait to go to Japan. Like that's the next trip I'm getting ready to plan. Saying this is that being from Detroit and seeing, our youth growing up, and even people around you, as you're growing up, I feel like, man, the lack of travel in our community, and I'm just speaking for Detroit. I'm just speaking for Detroit right now. It goes for a lot of areas, but I'm just speaking for Detroit. The lack of travel, I feel like, hinders so many people that you don't really get to see and experience the different things outside of your vision. Because if you're just consuming what TV shows you, you're not learning nothing.
No.
Like my grandmother, for example, like I said, she getting ready to turn 90.
Damn. Wow.
From what I've been told, she has never been on a plane. Yeah, and she might has been out of Detroit one time in her whole life.
Yeah.
Might. And when I asked where was it, nobody could even remember.
Yeah, wow.
Couldn't even remember. And so for some reason my grandmother did not like to travel, which is crazy to me, and so like as I'm getting older, I don't have kids of my own yet.
Yeah.
I have a lot of god kids. I have like 6 god kids.
Oh damn, man.
Yeah. I'm like one bad tragedy away from being a father of 6. You know what I'm saying?
The person when they trust you to be a godfather to their child, that's a good thing, man.
Yeah, it was great because my best friend, my best friend, so 3 of the kids is his.
Okay.
I'm the 6 god kids go like 3 of them are brother and sister, 2 of them are brother and sister, and then 1 is by themselves. So they all live in 3 different cities.
Yeah.
So 3 of them live in Detroit. He hit me up one day. He was like, "Hey man, I'm going to put you on the insurance policy, and just in case something happened, you can take, the kids to be coming with you, and y'all have something to help take care of y'all." I wanted to talk. Huh?
Is this
You said what?
This a black man?
Yeah.
Shout out to him for the insurance stuff. A lot of us don't navigate well in that department, and then once something happens, the family is left to figure out what to do with everything, and oftentimes has to kind of foot a bill. So shout out to him but I'm sorry, man.
No, you good. And I just wanted to start crying at that moment because I'm like, man, it was something that I didn't think about.
Yeah, those life is real moments. Like, wait, we ain't got all the time in the world to be here. We all gonna die at some point, right? Yeah.
And so that made me emotional. I'm like, man, like, damn, that's. I felt like an adult at that moment.
Yeah. Yeah.
But what I was getting at was, I want to be able to start getting in a position to where I can be able to, take them on experiences, show them different things, not just, of course their parents is going to, do that too. But I want to be a part of showing them different experiences, showing them that it's more to the world in life than 8 Mile.
Yeah. I mean, my first time getting on the plane was when I went to India. I had never been on the plane before, and that's why I did it. I had other job offers, but I was like, hey, I get to go to another country and live for 6 months. So it's one thing to travel somewhere, but it's another thing to live somewhere and become, immersed in that culture. That's why I would even recommend like studying abroad or anything that will get you to go out the country for an extended period of time, because, it'll give you a different appreciation for America. Most of the Black people that I talk to and I know, they have a disdain, like a hatred for America, and it's like, yeah, perfect, but America is far from the worst place, right? And every place they have a history, right? And there's been a lot of atrocities and murders and massacres committed everywhere. There's no country on earth that has a clean past or a clean slate. So being able to go somewhere else and actually live there for a minute, I'm talking about in India, and I was in areas where it was kind of third worldish, right? And then you get to come back to America, juxtapose it to what you just saw in India. Man, I remember I got off the plane after that 6 months and I literally kissed the ground, right? So a lot of Black Americans, in my opinion, and I'm not trying to be critical without somewhat being productive about it, but I guess one constructive critique is that we don't have a frame of reference the same as maybe some immigrant coming over here from like Mexico or something. So they come look at opportunity. They ain't thinking about like negligible, obstacles like racism and all of these things that, yeah, sure, they might matter a little bit, but it ain't stopping nobody. If you really want to succeed, you'll find a way to succeed. So they have a different frame of reference. So they come over here on a mission, and they come over here with a certain level of gratitude and appreciation that Black people who are from here but have never experienced anything worse don't have. And it's like, yeah, you might think you poor over here, but poor means something completely different in some of those other places. Yep. And if you don't try to do that for your kids, show them those things, and they could run the risk of growing up and being just as bitter and resentful as a lot of the Black Americans we see here today have succeeded and still for some odd reason hate the country and don't acknowledge the fact that their success is a big reason or it's largely based on the country that they're at that allowed them to be able to have those opportunities, you know. So it's like still be constructively critical of a place, you know, but you can also have some sense of gratitude at the same time. And I think people don't understand the importance of being able to operate in both spaces and have that duality.
Yeah.
You're
exactly right. I tell you this, that people in the Black community, one thing I feel like they struggle with is a lot of other communities that, especially since I've been living here in LA, because I'm being around a high Hispanic population, is working and moving with each other. Like, it was crazy. Like last week, I got to go see the dermatologist, right? So I was calling to make my appointment. And when I was on the website looking at the list of doctors, I only found 2 Black doctors. So I put in my request for one. They tell me, oh, he's retired.
Yeah.
Then the other one, she they were giving me the runaround about her, saying something about her, but whatever. So I'm on the phone and I'm like, well, what other Black doctors do you have? And the girl on the phone is looking at it, sounding like, why does it matter? That's how she was giving me. That's the type of energy she was giving me. Like, I'm just going to assign you to a doctor, you go see him. No, I want a Black doctor. Just like one of the reasons why I need to actually get new glasses. I need to go to the get a new prescription. I haven't found a Black eye doctor yet. I want to be able, and so I purposely do all of that until it's no result, to the end, till I can't have no other options. Because I want to work with my own. I want to be around my own, because I feel like when I have my primary care doctor, he's Black. I feel like if I go to someone that at least looks like me, they will understand more about what I'm going through versus someone that doesn't. And when I see these Hispanic communities, like, one thing that always not drove me crazy, but made me just wonder is, how do some of these guys and women come from Mexico, don't speak a lick of English, and survive here?
Yeah.
It's because they didn't build a community to where they can thrive. Yeah. They have it to where a lot of these jobs out here, you got to speak bilingual. They force all that. So so it's like, man, it's like, why can't we do the same?
Yeah, you talking
why can't we do the same? It's like, I feel like, but then I know I'm about to let you get your point. And then I also feel like when we do try to work with each other, we make it harder for each other than we do for anybody else. Yeah. For ourselves. Black people make it harder for Black people than we do ourselves. That just puzzles me. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you know what? It's I think when you talk about Hispanics, right? A lot of times when they come over here and they can barely speak a lick of English, they're trying to figure out how to navigate out here and have to band together because they all going through the same experience. Yeah. The Black community is that it's different. You guys, like, you can't assume that another Black person has shared the exact same experience as you. So sometimes, like, there's a huge benefit to practicing group economics, but the downside is that I somehow become confined to the group or a slave to the group or inhibited by the group. I mean, you think about X and you're a history buff, like Malcolm X was trying to expand his thought. He wanted to grow. Now, Malcolm X knew what type of group he was getting into. He knew what would happen if he spoke out against that group. He was fully aware of the consequences, but at the same time, once he started thinking his own thoughts and being an individual and started exploring different things, traveling to Mecca, seeing people who shared the same religion as him but had different shades of skin, it opened him up, and he couldn't be that, because it went against the group. So, it's cool to move like a group, but the minute that you go against the group, then they discount the individual. You know what I'm saying? So it can be somewhat restrictive to a degree. Although there are many benefits like the ones you just spoke of, the downside is that when you prioritize the group over the individual he gets this, he gets reduced, so to speak. And it's like, what's in the best interest of me and my family and my household may not necessarily align with what's in the best interest of the group at any given moment. So I need to know that if that doesn't happen, if at some point they don't align, you're not going to just, outcast me or throw me out to die and starve and hang. Because even when Malcolm X, I think I was watching, what was it called? The one with Forrest Whitaker. Something.
Oh, you talking about Godfather Harlem?
Godfather of Harlem.
Which is a dope-ass show.
Yeah, well, right. That was a great show. They was paying all of Malcolm X's bills. How true that is to the story, but once he deviated from the group, like, he could barely survive because everything was in the Nation of Islam's name. And I'm not saying that to talk bad or say anything disparaging about Islam, because they've done a lot of great things for the Black community. But I'm just saying that just like there are benefits to moving like a group, there's also a downside to it too. Once the individuals, once what's in the best interest of the individual doesn't coincide with what's in the best interest of the group.
Yeah. I had to hurry and grab the charger.
No, you all good.
I didn't realize the charger wasn't plugged up. The laptop about to die. But yeah, no, you made a great point, and I didn't even think about that aspect that you had just put in there.
Yeah, it's a conundrum. It's not. That's the thing that I was always. This guy named Jordan Peterson, a clinical psychologist, he said that there's no, and even Thomas Sowell, he's like world-renowned economist, researcher, educator. Both of them admit that there is no perfect path. You kind of have to pick your poison. So no matter what path you take, there's always going to be trade-offs. So even if you think, Black people banding together and practicing group economics and working together in harmony, we can think that this is like the perfect utopian situation for Black people, but there's a downside to it. And there's a downside to being somebody who doesn't care about the group and just wants to kind of do what he wants to do and say, I don't practice group economics. I don't want to necessarily worry about doing things to build up the community. Like, both ways, pick your poison. So, and that's something that people don't do often because they don't evaluate each thing. They just go with what feels right because they're so
That's a good point.
Yeah, you get what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, that's a good point.
If it sounds like a good idea, we'll go with that. But we don't actually think about, the consequences of going down that path. It's like, because it works for you until, like, you're an artist. You might want to get to the point to where you start doing some different shit. And then all of a sudden you do something different. And now they calling you a sellout, or they calling you a coon, or they calling you this. And now you're not even allowed to think differently. So it's like, wait, how come we can't appreciate the group, but also appreciate or prioritize the individual at the same time?
Yeah. And what's so funny with you saying that is because I was just talking to somebody last night when we was at the comedy club. I love Detroit.
Yeah,
I'm from Detroit. Like, people just don't know me, don't understand. Because you're from there. I'm from 7 Mile and Ryan. Born and raised.
Yeah.
Up and down them streets my whole life, grew up over there.
Just to give people context, 7 Mile and Ryan ain't no joke. It don't get no.
They don't understand that the Persian is called their school name. The nickname is the Doughboys. People don't understand that. I was an East Side Cowboy in the PAL League. Let you know, the middle school had metal detectors.
Damn.
They let you know when you come from elementary, you're going to Faraway. I think that was the name of it.
Oh, okay, yeah.
You got metal detectors, my dog, at middle school. Every other week, you got a picnic because somebody then passed away. Like I grew up in the streets.
Yeah.
And what I'm getting at is that as much as I love my city and everything, and yeah, I got some funny quirks about me in Detroit. You know, that's just because of how I was raised, but you know how I was raised. But I never 100 felt as an artist embraced by Detroit.
Yeah.
And what I mean is that what you just saying, like the differences when it comes to individual, is that Detroit is a city the best word I can use is kind of like the typical like Black experiences when it comes to, when I'm just speaking about comedy.
Mm-hmm.
We're, for some reason, is like the majority is trained to feel like the raunchy, explicit type of comedy is the only form of comedy that's supposed to be funny.
Yeah.
And I'm like the total opposite as a comedian when it comes to that.
Yeah.
I like to go, when I go on stage, I like to, I like to, take my time. I like to enjoy, being in front of you. I like to
kind of like a Dave Chappelle or George Carlile. Like you like to talk.
I like to talk. I like to really get my thoughts out. I'm not going up there and as soon as I see somebody in the crowd with a shirt, hey, you and this and your shirt look like my nephew's shirt. I'm not, that's not me. You know what I'm saying? I'm not up there to roast, you know what I'm saying? I'm not a roasted comedian, you know what I mean? Yeah. I like to, I'm not a comedian that sits down and writes out jokes. I have my ideas, my topics, and I take it to the stage. But I'm not coming up there with jokes that I'm sat there and wrote out for hours and nothing like that. But I'm coming up there to really talk to you and tell you what's really going on in my head, And so I always felt like I never was 100% embraced in that. So once I left the city and start getting a little bit more success in other places, I always, love coming back to my city, but I never, when I have came back and done stuff, and not saying that I did bad or anything, it's just that I never really felt that 100% embraces.
Absolutely.
In my city. But I also feel like Detroit's also one of the places where you don't get really embraced until other cities embrace you first.
Yeah.
It's like when you start getting that notoriety elsewhere, it's then like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we fuck. Oh, man, that's my cousin right there. You know what I mean? I knew him when he was 10. I ain't never met you in my life, my dog.
That's a good point. Yeah.
So yeah, that's how I always felt with Detroit. I love my city, man. I love coming back. I love my bread basket. I love my Coney Island.
Yeah.
I love it. And I'm going to rep Detroit till I die.
Mm-hmm. But you can at the same time understand that if I want to grow, then to do this elsewhere, I have to be able to experience other things. And I think people think that it's like either or. No, I can exist in both spaces. I can love Detroit and appreciate it for making me who I am, but I can understand that I wouldn't have gotten this far in my craft had I not gone elsewhere. And that's a big thing, man. Like that's the same thing with me. I'm not gonna sit up here. I'm a filmmaker, right? I've done I've done all types of stuff. Man, when I was out there in LA, I'm talking about best of the best, man. And I did a web series. And my last web series I did was starring Javicia Leslie. She was in Batwoman. She was the first Black, Batwoman of the LGBT community. So, and like I said, there's levels to it. I worked with Harry Lennox on my series called The Mirror's Tour years ago. He was Dragon 5 Heartbeats, was in The Matrix, all these movies. And literally, I can remember Harry Lennox. I don't even think he had looked at the script before he came to set because he was busy. He was busy shooting a bunch of other shit. And he came on set, man. And that was like the gift that I could give to cast and to the crew because they were so enamored by him when he came. You know, it's not like every day they get to shoot something with a celebrity, right?
Right.
And picked up the script, man. He looked, I had wrote paragraphs. I just saw him reading through it. And literally within 10 minutes, he memorized whole paragraph. It's like, it's different level, bro. It's like, you hear rappers talk about like, yo, I got in the studio with Jay-Z. Like that shit is real. Like this motherfucker just came off the top of his head. So again, man, if you want to be able to be the best at what you do, you got to study, not just study people in your city. You got to study people outside your city. You can't just study people who are black. You got to study people who are white. I just looked at Bill, what is his name? Bill Burr. Like it on Netflix was great. It was good. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? But I want to deprive myself of being able to pull from all these different things, because one thing about inspiration, one thing about talent, it knows no race. Yeah. So I can't limit myself in that sort of way. But at the same time, I can still have an appreciation for Black people, you know, but I never want to necessarily prioritize race over humanity. We're all human at the end of the day, you know, and that's just kind of how I look at it. And just trying to find that balance, man. But I agree with everything you're saying about Detroit, man. I'm happy that I'm back. But again, I never fit in either. I mean, don't get me wrong. You know, I was a cool kid growing up. I was always, you know, a popular kid, but I was a little nerdy. I was into, you know, wasn't into, you know, I couldn't curse as good as other people. You know what I'm saying? Whenever fight was getting ready to jump off, I was scared out of my mind and hope something that I couldn't come back from. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't a tough guy. I was like, please let somebody come break this shit up. You know, I wasn't that type of guy. So I get exactly where you're coming from, man.
Yeah, and was so funny you said that. I actually got a joke where I talk about when I'm dating, when I meet a girl for the first time, I don't like telling them I'm from Detroit. Because for some crazy reason, she automatically think I can fight. Right, I'd be like, nah, bitch, you can get we both gonna get our ass whooped.
Oh, that's like you in trouble. You dealing with the anecdotal Detroit Black guy. Right. You ain't represent the bulk of the Detroit, you know, gangsters. I'm the outlier. Yeah.
I don't know nothing about that dope life. Nothing about it. But what you got coming up?
So yeah, coming up, man, I'm doing more interviews. I just had an interview today with a young lady from Detroit. Oh shit, I better get this right. Amon Milner. Okay. So she's a writer for EXO, Nicole, for People Magazine, Shondaland. Her dad is the late great Ron Milner, who was like a famous playwright, man. So I just sat down, talked to her because she was on this show a long time ago, Black and Sexy TV Network. It was a show called Chef Julian, and I've been a fan of her since then. So I'm gonna keep interviewing people, man. Doing like you said in the beginning, trying to learn how to tweak things and get better at it.
Right.
Good for me. I don't want to do anything narrative right now because I got a son who's 6. I got a daughter who's 4. I love being around my family, man. So I just shoot this shit right at home in my basement, and I don't have way, but yet I'm still feeding that artistic part of me. Right. So kind of what I'm doing right now. And I'm trying to think, yeah, I'm still, you know, just living life and being a family oriented dude, man. So that's really it.
All right. I'm about to say this is that because I'm about to every time I bring his name up, I gotta shout him out because he was super inspirational in my career. Shout out to the late great Kool-Aid. Kool-Aid, man. Shout out to him. That was one of my big brothers, man, in comedy. Love you to death, bro. Funniest cat to ever come out of Detroit. Funniest comedian ever come out of Detroit.
I gotta look him up.
You never heard of Kool-Aid?
It sounds familiar, but I don't know. I can't remember a bit. I gotta look.
King of Detroit, man. King of Detroit comedy. You know, passed away a couple years ago. That was my dude right there. But the one dude, I don't know if you ever heard of this cat. You ever heard of Josh Adams?
Yeah, Josh Adams. He's in LA now, right?
No, he's in Detroit.
Okay, I saw him do something at what comedy club it was. It was somewhere, it was over here by this place called Duo.
Okay.
I can't remember. It was called I can't even remember the club. But either way, I saw him and I didn't know he was gonna do comedy, but man, he had people in there crying, bro.
Yeah. Josh Adams, that's another one of my brothers in comedy. We didn't live together, everything. You know what I'm saying? That's one of my brothers in comedy.
Wow. Punch.
Punchline.
There we go.
Okay. Josh Adams is the second best comedian to ever come out of Detroit.
He's good, bro.
And we're talking about it's tons of, we talking about Tony Roberts. We talking about Downtown Tony Brown, Simply Chanel. It's ton, Mike Bonner. We can keep going. It's been so many funny cats. And that's why I'm giving them high praise when I say this. The second funniest cat to ever come out of Detroit is Josh Adams.
Dispute.
Either I gotta help you do it, whatever. You gotta have them on. You gotta be able to sit them down and have and talk with them. Because I'm telling you,
you might have to let them know. So, because when I DM them, it's gonna go in that other inbox. So
no, that's why I said I would. That's why I said I would. If I gotta help you, I will link it up with you. So y'all can make it happen. And what you should do is if you got the time, he got his birthday show August 7th at the new House of Comedy Club downtown Detroit.
Okay, yeah.
To go check that out.
August 7th. Okay, damn.
Let me tell you, I've been doing comedy so long. It's not when I do go to a show and pay attention, because I normally not paying attention when I'm at a comedy show. I'm just be honest, I'm not. But when I do pay attention, it's not too many cats that actually make me laugh out loud. That make me just really laugh.
Stomach hurt, bro.
No matter how many times I can sit and watch him, I'm in tears.
Yeah.
His mind, I tell people this, people always, you can't put comedy in a box.
Yeah.
You can't put comedy in a box. Comedy is so many different directions and so many different emotions and so many different moves that it's not just one thing and no one way comedy is. Yeah. Josh Adams has a mind that's not like nobody is not human. I don't know how to put it. It's not human.
Yeah.
He literally can find the funny. When they say find the funny out of anything, it's not too many cats I know that really find the funny out of anything. Yeah. And he's one of them.
Yeah. And the thing is too about him is that he's so Detroit too at the same time.
Oh man.
Yeah, if you somewhere else and you live in LA and you just so happen to see him in some comedy club in LA and you don't even know he from Detroit, you gonna know you gonna know as soon as he start talking because he represents it.
Yeah. He literally can be in the middle of a set and you can say something like, man, I'll beat your ass.
Yeah, that's Detroit. That's Detroit. That's Detroit, man. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. But yeah, man, that's shout out to my guy. Like I said, if I gotta make that happen, we gotta make that happen, man.
We gotta have them on conversations, man. And we gotta have you on when you come back.
Yeah. So we'll try to work it out because I know I'm only there for
the next time, whenever you have more time, whatever.
Because I know I'm there for a short window when I do come, because I literally come in on a Friday evening, and then I'm literally leaving that Sunday because I got to go to I have to fly into Vegas that Sunday, and I'm in Vegas for a week. So yeah, but we figure it out and make it happen. But
cool.
Man, I'm glad that you came on. And man, this was a good ass.
A lot out of this kind. I didn't think we was gonna go this deep or this political, so I got a lot out of it, man. I appreciate it.
All right, man. So that was what's your Instagram?
Instagram is TinBridgeProd. So TinBridgeProd. So short production. TinBridgeProd.
And y'all know it's Brandon Jordan Comedy And make sure that y'all like, subscribe, and repost so we can make this channel grow and bring more content to you. That was another episode. I'll holler at y'all next week.